Hello, Covenant. This video is a short how-to guide for our upcoming electronic offering of letters. As you may or may not know, next week, Covenant is joining Bread and other Alabama faith communities in raising our voice as advocacy for mitigating the rising crisis of hunger amidst this pandemic. It is well documented that due to the economic recession as a result of this pandemic, food insecurity and hunger are grossly on the rise, both in Alabama and our country at large. And as Christians, we bear a moral responsibility to do everything we can to help end hunger. This includes advocating to our public policy makers to craft and legislate good food policy. So if you've been wondering, how can I help those who are especially suffering right now? Joining us in our offering of letters is an easy and worthwhile way. Plus, everybody can do it. Now you may be wondering, what are the specific policies Bread is asking us to advocate for this time? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's turn to our BCOC Offering of Letters toolkit that Josie has put together for us. Now I've pulled up our 2020 Offering of Letters toolkit. And you'll see that on the front page, in the middle, are the two policy asks that Bread for the Word is asking us to advocate for. The first one is S1918, or the Hunger-Free Summer for Kids Act. As you may or may not know, summer is the hungriest time of the year for children. And so this act would expand the summer EBT program so that more children can access nutritious food during summer break. Now this particular policy is especially important because most of the funds used during a normal summer break for feeding children were actually spent in the early spring to help feed children when schools shut down due to the pandemic becoming widespread. So this particular policy ask would add additional funds to help those especially vulnerable children have access to nutritious foods throughout the remainder of this summer break and up until the start of school this fall. Now our second ask, which is just for our senators, is to maintain the 15% increase for SNAP benefits in the HEROES Act, which the House of Representatives has passed. Now it's important to note that previous pandemic legislation has not benefited SNAP recipients as much as needed. And what's important to note is that SNAP is a crucial policy for helping mitigate hunger, especially in times of crisis, as proven in the economic recession of 2008. And since we're facing another economic recession due this time to COVID-19, we know that maintaining this 15% increase for SNAP benefits, which is in the HEROES Act that was passed by the House, but is now before the Senate, is another critical step for helping to mitigate food insecurity and hunger during this especially unique time. So, these are the two asks. Now you may be asking, how do I do this? How do I write to my legislators in the midst of a pandemic? Well, this year we're using email instead of handwritten letters. And so if you go down to the second page, which is here on the left, you'll see that we have links to all our Alabama congressional representatives and Alabama senators that will take you straight to their email pages so that you can input your own letter there. Unsure of exactly what to write? Well, we have provided for you two sample emails that you can copy and paste and put directly into the email window on each of our legislators' pages. So, I'm going to provide an example of how this is done. The first thing you need to know when writing your representative is, what district do you live in? And because what's also important to know is that while there are 7 representatives for the state of Alabama, you only have 1 because you live in one of the 7 districts. Now I know that I live in Terry Sewell's district, so I'm going to go down here to the 7th district and click this link here. And it's going to take me to a page, to Terry Sewell's email page. Now the first step I need to do is zip code authorization because some zip codes are split between representatives. So I'm going to put this And then I'm going to put the 4-digit extension because of the issue of some zip codes being split for various districts. All right, I've put my 4-digit extension. Let's go to the next step. Now, my email has been authenticated, and now my next step is to write my message. Now, the first thing I'll do is input my address information. Then the next thing I'll do is I'll come down here, and this is where I actually input the message. The first thing is to choose an issue category from the drop-down list which most resembles your issue of concern. I've already looked through here, and there is no explicit food category, so I'm going to put it in health, because food often deals with living healthy lives. Now, the message of the subject. We're not going to make it anything grandiose, just summer EBT, EBT expansion. Now for the text of the message. Now, I could just come right here down to the sample letter for representatives and copy and paste that, and that is perfectly fine. But research has shown that personal letters actually make more of an impact on our legislators than stock letters. So I've actually copied and pasted it and put it into a Word document here, where I've kept most of the same body of the letter, but I've added a paragraph underneath the request to expand the summer EBT program that is drawn a little bit from my own experience. And it reads, I am asking you to support summer EBT expansion because at Baptist Church of the Covenant in downtown Birmingham, where I am a minister, I know people and families for whom this epidemic has gravely impacted their lives. I go on to talk about our to-go meals and how in the midst of this pandemic, I've seen the suffering and hunger firsthand. And so this is especially why I'm asking for Representative Terry Sewell to support the expansion of the summer EBT program. So now what I'm going to do, and also make sure the letter is addressed to the right legislator, and also that you put your name and address below. So I'm going to take this letter, I'm going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to put it in the text of the message. That's it. That's right there. I can decide if I want to subscribe to Representative Sewell's letter, and also, or to her newsletter, and also if I'd like a response. I'm going to say, yes, please contact me. I'm going to check that I'm not a robot, and then I'm going to send an email. And it's as simple as that. It goes the same for our senators. I'm going to click, for example, on Doug Jones' email here. It gives me an option to share my opinion on legislation or get help from Doug. I'm sharing my opinion on legislation, so go down here, put in my name, contact information, message, select an issue. Again, there's no explicit food category, so I'm going to go to, healthcare is a little bit different than health. So I'm actually going to keep looking. I don't see anything else, so I'm just going to put other. In the subject, I'm going to put in, please support summer EBT expansion and maintaining 15% increase to SNAP. Now again, you can copy and paste this email into the body of the text box in Doug Jones' website, or, as I did added a little bit of personalization. And here's the sample letter here. I've added, after the request to expand to maintain the 15% SNAP increase, I've added a very similar paragraph as the one from my letter to Representative Terry Sewell in here to, again, add that personal touch. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to copy and paste. And then I'm going to check, would I like a response from the senator? I would, but you don't have to. And then I would like to sign up for the e-newsletter. I think I will. And then I'll hit submit. So now you've seen how we're going to be doing our offering of letters this year. It's a little bit different, but it's still important that we raise our voices and advocate to our elected officials to put in good food policy that will help those who are especially vulnerable right now. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me, so please reach out. And please join us next week in writing our elected officials as we advocate to help end hunger for this summer and forevermore. Thank you.